Selling into strength, selling into weakness, we want to go over some of the basic fundamental principles of making hedge decisions here today. As we head into harvest and we look at storage bushels, markets have some volatility. We're going to see some more opportunities. We want to prepare guys on how to make good sales decisions when we get into this market environment. As always, everything we're talking about in the video is for example and education purposes. Make sure that you guys know your own risk tolerance, that you're comfortable with it as we go through these slides. So coming into hedging decisions, we're going to use a 35-year-old farmer. I'm 35 years old. I think the first thing you have to consider is you have another 30 crop years ahead of you. So in other words, you have to consider the always long principle. You're going to be continuing to plant crops and be long grain. You're going to have inventory. Therefore, selling into strength is beneficial. You might be a little bit early in some years, but higher prices are the best problem to have, as it's going to help you out on the current year crop and the next year crop as well. You got to remember to keep things moving. You need cash flow. You got bills to pay, and you've got a long game of 30 plus years to look at when you're making these sales decisions. So keep that in mind as we kind of set the table here for the rest of the information. When it comes to making those decisions, you really have two main choices. You can either sell on the way up or sell into strength, or you can sell on the way down and sell into weakness. And we'll go into each of those here in just a minute. What we wanted to do is pull up the July 24 KC wheat chart. We thought this really represented a good chart as far as making sales decisions of selling into strength here on this first slide. What we did is we outlined several boxes, about 5 boxes of sell areas. We have to remember resistance or strength is an area. It's really hard to get it right exactly to the penny. You might get it for a day or two or an hour, but seldom does it last. So you got to look at the area. Now, we were coming off a large down move. Your first area is where price had failed, which was right around that $6. You can argue if price got up in there, you should make a sale. Even if price broke out from there, there is a quick resistance area to the left around 615. A lot of times breakouts fail. It's reasonable to make a sell decision there. And it certainly makes a lot more sense than selling some of these red bars down at like 550 or 575. Now all of a sudden you're in that second area, like we've talked before. If you get 5 green bars, 6 green bars up in a row, you should probably be making a sales decision. So make another sale there. Price continues to climb. Now you're looking for another resistance area that brings you to area 3. We had a move higher, a little bit of a pullback. So now you even have resistance on the current move. It's reasonable to make another sale or have a target somewhere in that zone as well. The next thing is we're going to keep going higher. I mean, we don't know this at the time, right? But let's have some target orders sitting out there that if the market wants to push higher, we're going to have an order sitting out in this next area of opportunity. So sure enough, you get filled, market pulls back again. You're probably feeling pretty good, glad you did something, but then the market goes higher. You get tagged on this next sale. Another good problem, your average price is going up. The 25 crops keeping up as well. You're rewarding this rally and building a price average at profitable areas. Again, you have that 5th area up above. Then if you really wanted to, you could go and make a 6th, 7th, 8th area. We don't know where this thing's going to end. All we can say is that we started to get a little bit extended. Your weekly chart was still in a downtrend. So in hindsight, you can argue it makes sense to fail around 750. But nonetheless, if you had targets above the market in these areas, you're rewarding these rallies, selling into strength, and you probably ended up with a pretty good average price. Now here's the selling into weakness. We left the areas the same, but what we're going to do is a strategy called selling below the prior day low. So if the market breaks below the prior day low, you're triggered on a sale. And we use those orange lines. And as you can see, they were relatively similar as far as the areas of making those sales. Now that first area you would have pretty much avoided, give or take. You would have had that first sale much higher by using this trailing stop method, if you will. So either way is fine. Pick which one you like, and then we really encourage you to do something on these moves. Because what happens here? Let's say you did nothing, and this market went literally straight down, basically $2 off of the high. You're stuck. We got nothing for you. And a lot of times guys are left saying, man, this thing's going to come back, or I'm going to sell the bounce, or, you know, just all these things go through your mind. Whereas if you were just rewarding the rally to begin with, you're probably going to be better off. And again, if you're early on this crop year, you do have next crop year to get started on as well. But generally speaking, guys are making 10, 15, maybe 20% sales. You're going to get a couple cracks at a rally like this to get on board. So wrapping this up a little bit here, selling into strength. A couple things to consider. If you're a put option buyer and you're deciding to do something on an up day, those puts are going to be cheaper. The market's moving up. That's to your benefit. You can get a better strike at a lower price. Calls are more expensive. If you're a fence person or you want to sell calls, you want to collect as much premium as you can, you're also probably going to get a little bit of a higher strike. That's another good thing. Selling into higher prices, yes, the market can keep going, but you're rewarding this rally. And frankly, mentally, I think for a lot of guys, it's going to feel better. We've all heard the old saying, buy low, sell high. Well, you're already long the physical, so you need to be selling into highs. And we don't know where that high is going to be, so you have to just make sales into these strength areas, these resistance points, and do the best you can. Now, here we go on the selling into weakness. Generally, if the market's coming down, those puts are now going to be more expensive. Your price floor might not be as attractive. Call premium is coming out. Those are going to be cheaper as well if you're trying to do fence positions. You're also selling into lower prices. Just like on the high side, the market can keep going lower. I would argue mentally it feels worse. You make a sale on a low point and you look back at the chart and say, man, I could have sold up there. Or you do nothing and say it'll come back. Or the famous, man, I always get stopped out and then the market goes higher. Okay, that's what happens on selling into weakness. So I think a good question to ask yourself when you're trying to decide, am I a person that wants to sell into strength or sell into weakness? Just on any given scenario, and this happens more often than you think, would you rather catch a temporary high, so maybe you sell and you catch the high even for a day, okay? Or would you rather be a seller and catch the low? Okay, think about that for a little bit, and that'll help you decide, do I want to be somebody that's selling into these rallies, or do I want to be the person that's waiting for the market to break back and then try and make my sales decisions? I hope you guys liked the video. As always, we enjoy coming up with the content for you. Like, subscribe, leave us a comment below. And if you need help with your marketing and you want somebody to help you execute on this stuff, give me a call. This is what I do. More than happy to work with you on getting comfortable on selling into these rallies. Remember, nobody's going to know where the high or the low is, but I think most farmers are going to be better off rewarding higher prices rather than waiting for them to come back down or trying to figure out where the high is before they decide to make a sale.